Today is about celebrating things that, as Kelly and I get older, we find so much respect and appreciation for. Our heritage in Clinton, our family in Clinton, our mom and dad, and everything that they taught us.
You guys have a light about you and a shine about you and a caring about you that is very rare. And those memories are something that I'll cherish forever and ever. And I'm so grateful and thankful for everything you do and you continue to do and the people that you are.
And I love you.
We found that we were lucky. I mean, this does not happen. It does not happen in real life. I do not encourage it, and we don't encourage it. But it comes down to pure luck.
This right here, right behind us, is where I met Linda back in August of 1965 at a block dance. Yep. She was a sophomore, I believe.
15.
Yep. She was a sophomore and I was a junior when we met in high school. And so we've been courting for 56 years. We'll be married for 53 years in another 2 weeks.
We met in high school, and like I said, I was 15. I had a very, very good friend, and she said to me one night, well, we always went to the block dances. They'd have a DJ that would stand on the top step of the town hall, and then they'd block off this road, and they'd have the block dances. And back then, they were strictly for like high school kids, and that's where all the high school kids would hang out once a week in the summertime. So she says to me, well, we're going to block dance tonight, and I kind of had a little thing for John. I didn't know what was going on, but we were just kind of at that moment classmates. And so we came to the block dance, and he kept asking her to dance. And I thought, well, okay, now I'm really like ticked off because, you know, this is not what this is all about. So I was getting kind of mad at her, and then she comes over and she says to me, I said, what the heck, well, you know, what's going on? And she says, he's asking about you. That's why he's asking me. So ended up that from that time on, we were like a thing. And 3 years later, we were married.
Gotta pick a good one.
John always used to tell them we got married young because back then
life expectancy wasn't as
shorter.
long, so we
we're
had to get
telling
married
them
young back
not
in
to
those
get
ages.
married young.
I can remember the first time I met Linda and John. It was a long time ago. I don't even know how many years, but I was very nervous, obviously, like anybody would be. But I remember walking into their home and feeling immediately at home. And I remember Linda saying to me, you're welcome here, your home, this home is your home, help yourself to anything, and always made me feel so comfortable.
Our family is worthy of anything we feel or give or put towards their way. Well, this is 311 Chase Street. This is the house I was born and raised in. My mom, my dad, my older brother who owns the house now, and 2 younger sisters.
I used to come and pick her up, met Linda at a block dance up the town hall in one August evening. You spent many times coming up here, picking her up, and
My mom used to get all upset because my dad wasn't here when he'd pick me up at night, and my mom would get all upset the first couple times because she didn't consider him a gentleman because he didn't come to the door and get me. But
I blew the horn.
he certainly was a gentleman. But in the end,
Yeah.
through the years, my mom, I think she ended up liking him better than me. So. So I was like 15 when I met John, and this is where he grew up.
Yeah,
And I used to come here, like his mom used to have like picnics here every Sunday, and we'd come down here. And then when we had our kids are actually doing this for us for our anniversary. We'd all come down. They had a picnic table right here, and we used to sit here on Sunday afternoons.
That's what I thought, who you want.
Yep, that was my room. that was my room.
I always thought that this room looked like for men.
That was my room.
Because the closet.
Yep. Then I had 2 sisters, and they shared that room. My 2
That's
sisters.
for my granddaughter, the oldest one, my daughter.
Bye-bye. Yep. Yep. Right here is where
The White House?
the dairy was out and back.
Okay.
The 2025 Boynton Street, it was out and back, and then we had a fire back in 1970, and it burnt down, and we'll stop at the next place. My grandfather had started the milk business right from this location back in 1936. He started it. He was working for another gentleman, and he got mad at him, so he started his own milk business. And that's where I worked for most of my life until we closed up in 1996. Some days I'd have to take the day out of high school and deliver to the high school, deliver the milk, because they were short of drivers, somebody didn't show up. So the vice principal would say, "Oh," he said, "your father must have been short of help today, John." I said, "Yep." I had to deliver.
I worked in a plastic factory when I was 16, and I always tell the kids, you know, they look for these jobs like where you can make a lot of money and you don't sometimes have to do a lot of work. Well, I think I got 75 cents an hour putting plastic forks in a package, and when I'd leave there at night, I worked 3 to 7. When I left there at night, my fingers would be bleeding from poking of the plastic forks, and you would think it would be a big health hazard, but apparently back in that day it wasn't a big health hazard. But right there is the old fire station, and after I would leave work from the high school right here, I would walk across the street and do my driver's ed. And back in those days, you know, you just reported home whenever your day was done, and that would be when my day was done. So, but this is our little town, everything located right where we could get to it. And,
Close.
yep.
In downtown Clinton.
Right over here used to be where that parking lot is, the White Elephant. It was a big hangout for teenagers. It was just a little like
Diner.
It was a little diner.
A diner
but-
cart.
Yeah, and we'd all hang out in there.
On the right will be the parking.
77 Oak Street.
Yeah, we had our first apartment was with his aunt, and we paid what, $45 a month.
$40 a month
$40
rent.
a
Then it went up to 45.
But it was his aunt's home, and we lived on the 3rd floor when we were first married. And We didn't have money. We had no money. We didn't get money from our parents or when we started. When we left the house, we left the house. When we left our family homes that we were brought up in, we left our family homes. It was like you made your bed, now you sleep in it. And so it was a lot of money. Everything we did was a lot of money. And so his aunt assured us that we'd be secure in that apartment, and then that her daughter did not want that apartment. And then lo and behold, in a year, the daughter wanted the apartment because she didn't want to be paying the big rent outside. So we had to buy our home. And back then it was not our dream home. We actually had land that we purchased up where Kelly and Chris live and the boys. And we were going to build our dream house up on the land up on their street. It was perfect. And we'd go up there when we were just married, before we had kids, and we'd go up there and we'd sit with a blanket
We
on
cleared,
our empty
cleared the lot.
and we'd have a picnic up there on a Sunday afternoon as we were clearing the lot ourselves. And we would just dream about the home that we wanted to build up there. And it kind of all fell apart when we had to move out of our apartment because we had to do something. We did not want to rent anymore. And we figured the best thing for us to do would be to like invest in a home. At least we'd have something. And so we invested in our home, and I hated it. I hated everything about the home because it wasn't my dream home. But we assured each other that it was temporary. Well,
It's still temporary.
it's still temporary.
It's
because
still temporary.
we made it a home. Living there and then having our kids there, we can't even imagine not having that very home right now. So we sold the land, put in a pool, put in the back porch. Kelly came along, and the rest was history. Okay, so this is where Clinton High School was, and this is where we both went to high school. It was torn down, and now it's the Clinton Elementary School, but this is where we started out. It's built this exact same location, and we both went to school here. We both graduated here, had all our functions and dances and whatsoever right in this location. And in that same old high school, before they tore it down and built this new elementary school, is actually where I started working. In this high school, when my kids went to high school here. So this location has a lot of memories, even though the old high school is not here anymore. He was the class clown, but
I was voted most talkative.
yeah, most
Yep.
talkative, which
Linda's,
maybe I should be
Linda's,
right now.
Linda's got that now. Yeah, I've quieted down a little bit in my
I was
older
shy,
age.
so
Yeah.
we just kind of reversed roles. But I was like a really good student. I kind of did the right thing. There was one day when they had a reflecting pool, and went out for recess with my girlfriend, and we were in deep conversation, and I stepped on the curb of the reflecting pool, slipped in. I think I had detentions for a week, even though it was an accident. So I didn't step out of line very much back in those days. Right next door was the old firehouse, and that's where we went for driver's education, I think. So we would.
There was a building next to that that's
with
torn
the
down now.
Yeah, okay. It was like a building, so we'd do our driver's education there. This would be the Strand. The location of the Strand, and we still go there to this day. It's
Even
like
last night.
beautiful old historic theater, and we had very many memories of Friday nights at the Strand, going to the movies, because that would be the thing to do in Clinton. You went to the movies, or you went and grabbed something to eat, or you went for a ride. There wasn't a whole lot else that you could do. So still to this day, this Strand is just a very, very special spot in Clinton. So this is St. John's Church. This is the church that we were married in. I wasn't brought up Catholic. Actually, I was brought up in the Episcopal Church, which is directly across from, ironically enough, Central Park. I was brought up there as a child, and when we were about to get married, his mom said to me, "You can marry my son, but I want you to be Catholic." And to me, there was one God. It didn't matter what religion I was. I said, okay, I'll do it. So I went through all the catechism at 17 and 18. I converted, I was baptized, I was confirmed in the Catholic Church, and then his mom gave me her blessing to get married. So, lo and behold, we were married in this church, St. John's Church, which is a gorgeous church. Our kids were brought up in St. John's Church. Me not starting out Catholic, ended up being a CCD teacher. I was CCD teacher just to be there and drive them back and forth and do my duty. And then they were baptized and confirmed in this church. So a lot of memories in this church for us, with just our beginning and then our children. I don't think his mom totally approved of
us getting married so young.
And whether I was even mature enough. But what she didn't know is that I was very much mature. The oldest of 3 daughters, I was very mature for my age. So I think she was counting on this may not ever happen, and that maybe we'd give it a lot more time. But it happened, and
time was at an essence.
God bless his mom, passed away. She was our first parent to pass away. And I still visit her grave and put flowers on it. And every time I do, I tell her, I'm still here. I'm still with him. So that she knows that whether she thought I was going to be there for the long haul or not, I'm still here, whether you like it or not.
Well, with love comes sacrifice.
Right. This is the house where I was born. I lived here from 1948 until 1953, when Dad built the new house down on East Street. I do have a few memories of this house, not very many being so young, but I was born here. My sister Carol was born here, and then Maggie was born down at the other house down on East Street. It happened to be across the street from later, after we had the fire in the other dairy, we happened to buy this property and happened to be right across the street from where I was born. And this is where I worked for 25 years after the fire, burnt down the other place. It used to be the Wagner Rambler garage, and then they moved to Shrewsbury, and it was sitting here vacant. And after the fire, my father and uncles bought the building, and we were up and running within 3 months. We brought all the equipment up here, shined it all up, the stuff that didn't get destroyed in the fire. And in the process of doing that, we were working out of a dairy in Worcester that was bottling all our milk for us, but they didn't have the capacity to do all the school milk that we were doing, so we brought our machine out there, and me and one of my cousins, we would go out there and run the machine and load the tractor trailer that used to come out every afternoon to bring us the stuff for the next day. So and then after that, then we would go and work on the new dairy, getting it wired, piped, and everything to get it up and running. And from there, we just kept growing bigger and bigger and getting more school contracts. We did a lot of house deliveries, but in the end, our biggest thing was doing schools. They say we did up to 84,000 half pints a day delivering to schools, from the city of Milford all the way up to the city of Lowell, and everything off of 495, until all the big dealers wanted the business, and they just come in and cut prices, and we went out. But this is the location of the dairy. And then when we closed up, we sold it to a fellow who was an electrician. He was here for 3 or 4 years, and then he worked for somebody else, and then they sold that to a fellow who owns it there now.
We were so proud to be able to do it for John, for John's family, and that this stuff would just, at least some of it, would still be here for their kids, our grandkids, and their kids to at least come someday and say, see, this was the thing. This was a family that worked very, very hard together and made something work. And so this is what we salvaged and put up here. And it was during COVID when we had to set it all up, and we didn't have family that could come with us. And so it was like a little sad that we had to just send them pictures and say, this is what we did to remember Parker's Mill. But we did it. We finally got it done, and it's here. And I'm really happy that they can get to see that what John was part of and how hard he worked his whole life to make our lives better, and that it all started from this. Parker's did not have a lot of money. It was a business that went from one hand to the other. They had to work manual labor and do very long hours and keep up with old equipment and sacrifice family time and whatever. But they worked as uncles and cousins, and they made it work. And so that's why when the day it went out of business, it was really, really sad to see heritage go down the drain. But by keeping some of this stuff, at that time they were all too emotional. They couldn't handle like the fact that maybe we should keep some of this stuff. And thank goodness we had the wherewithal to keep some of the important things that really meant something, and to have the time in this later future to put it all together and just have it here for them. And the frame tells it all about, how they made the business work and how it started with his grandfather and how he got into the business. And the album with all the letters. I mean, there's an interview with John about his life with the dairy, and you could tell when they went out of business. We talk a lot about the small town Clinton is, but what you don't realize is, like, their customers were Clintonians. Their customers were people just like us, who, with the family values, to this day, will still talk about A.C. Parker and Sons and how important a part of their lives it was, how they didn't lock their doors, that the milkman would come in the middle of the morning, dark, and put the milk and eggs and cream into the refrigerator and just leave. And that's the kind of values that we had back then, that you could be able to do that. And we don't have all that anymore. So it's super important to remember the way life used to be. That this whole historical society, when Terry gave us his blessing to come up here and do this, and was so generous with his time and some of his props, that we could put this all together, and to have it here with this pristine spot, it's like really, really meaningful to our family. But we needed to do it for John because of what a hard worker he was through his whole life, and all his values for living a good life.
It came out really great.
To Lorraine Ave, our home, which we still live in today, which for some strange reason the town came to us one year and said we couldn't be to Lorraine Ave anymore. So we abided. Now we're for Lorraine Ave for some strange reason, whatever. But that home, this home has so many memories of like just us starting out and like it not being our dream home, but making it our dream home. Our kids being born, our kids, John working very, very hard and insisting on like starting out with a camper so that every other weekend, because we worked so hard in a week with our family and in our jobs, that every other weekend we were going to get away Saturday afternoon and Sunday. We had no phones, we had no electronics, we had no TV. We got away with Mark and Kelly Saturday afternoon till Sunday night. We played in pine needles with trucks, we biked, we did all those things, took them to interesting places, tried to show them, what we wanted them to do. Sit around a campfire and just get away every other weekend, no matter what. We tried to bring them up so that they had what they needed and appreciated what they needed. If they had chores, they would earn money. They were allowed to spend half their money and save the other half. they would go to a store with us and they would say, can I buy such and such? And you have the money, you can buy it. If you didn't have the money, you didn't buy it. When they needed to buy something or wanted something bad enough when they were teenagers, they had to save the money. And we might have helped them a little bit in the end, but they both knew the value of a dollar. We brought them up so that we could do whatever they were doing that we were involved in. Like I said, I was involved in CCD just to see what was going on with them. They were in scouting. I was a scout leader. They were in baseball. I was a Lassie League coach. That Mark was in Cub Scouts. We were there for every minute just to watch them and be proud of every step that they took. And John always used to say, I hate that they're growing up. I hate that they're not babies anymore. And I used to say to him, we have to appreciate every age. We appreciate them as babies. We appreciate them as toddlers, and we watch what they're going to do. We even, as much as it was horrible, appreciated the teenage years, because through those tough times, there were these just proud moments of seeing them, doing this special thing or being dressed up for a special occasion. And it was just overfilled your heart with joy to see that these were your kids. And then as they moved on through life, even this stage, every single stage you just appreciate. And now we get to appreciate their children and watching their steps and watching their missteps. But we're here to see that, and we're here to care for them as much as we cared for Mark and Kelly. And Jamie and Chris. And Jamie and Chris know if they belong, if they come into our family, they are our children. And we will treat you not like you're an in-law, but we will tell you when we disagree. We will argue with you when we need to. We will love you unconditionally forever, as long as you are in our lives. And I think they know that. They know when they come to our house that they're going to be treated like one of our children, because they are our children. And our grandkids, every one of them, are our babies.
What I love most about Mimi and Pee-Pee is how in love they are with each other. They have been married for 52 years, and every year they love each other more and more. I love how Mimi and Pee-Pee cherish our family more than anything else in this world. They make every family gathering so special and memorable. Every Christmas we spend with them is so special. They give us so much, and at the end of it all, they just want us to understand their message. And it's always about family and how important family is, and how extremely lucky we are to all be so close and loved by so many different people in our family.
I'm happy. What I love about you, both of you, is that you really care for everyone. I love you.
I just wanted to say that I am very thankful to have the opportunity to be in your guys' life and over the past 10 years and be accepted into your family. I think you guys set a really good example for everyone else about how to care for each other and how to be thankful for what we have, which is another thing that I'm very grateful for and something that you guys have taught me as well over the years. And Finn is grateful for you guys also, even though you've only met him a couple times, but he loves you guys as well.
Me and Papa, I couldn't tell you how much I love you. Everything I do is taught by you. You raised me, you raised my parents who raised me. Papa, your ideologies of hard work is just all I ever think about. When I have a hard shift or practice gets tough, or I don't have enough energy to do the things I want to do, I think of you and all the hard work you put into your life, how well it came out. You're an inspiration. I love you guys so much. What I would have done without you. All of your help from preschool. I lived in your basement for a while. I love you so much.
parents. You've given us such a good family, a loving household and everything, and you've always been there for us whenever we need anything. And you've taught me so many life lessons I've learned, even with like life lessons with business or just loving my family and always being together. It's just a great experience to have you guys around. I couldn't ask for anyone else.
Pee-Pee, you are two of the best grandparents anyone could ever ask for. You taught us all the ways to treat other people and the ways to work hard and love everyone. And I couldn't ask for anyone better than you guys. I love you.